And young men have left their house screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills, Bryshere Gray, left that house screaming. August the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed a dog.
The alleged crime, brutal. Gray's wife calling 911 after escaping him at a Goodyear QT, claiming Gray punched her hundreds of times, strangled her, and threatened her with a knife.
It is not good news that fans seem to have connected Bryshere Gray to Diddy's alleged actions. Fans are starting to look into the case as Diddy's trial approaches. To put it plainly, Diddy's reputation is not being enhanced by the material we are discovering. Supporters are now positive that Bryshere is one of the young men Diddy, who has often been accused of forcing up-and-coming singers into uncomfortable situations, might be. It seems like the signs were there all along, so you will need to pay close attention because this story is going to get pretty strange. Now that we are in the surviving Diddy age, it is really clear. Everyone wanted to know where Bryshere Gray, who became famous on the Empire as Hakeem Lion, was. He can be one of the breakout stars of a big show one minute and the next bugs the next. But according to the streets, he did not precisely decide to step away from the limelight. According to rumors, he was forced out by Diddy and other powerful individuals, leaving him with nothing to do but entertain his fans. After the empire crumbled, Bryshere Gray was meant to level up and take off. Instead, his career seemed to come to a standstill and it never worked out for him. With all the resources at his disposal, it was truly confusing. I mean, Bryshere was already connected before he joined the empire. He met Charlie Mack as a teenager and eventually became his manager. Charlie leveraged his Hollywood connections to secure Bryshere an online audition for Empire, which led to the role that made him famous. Unfortunately, that fame did not last as long as they had hoped. A few weeks after Bryshere was cast in the Empire film, Charlie Mack introduced him to Will Smith. After that, they seemed to establish a solid mentor-mentee bond. Let us face it, having a young actor like Will Smith on your side should have been a great win, trying to make it in Hollywood. But rather than providing opportunities, the bond ultimately led Bryshere down a dangerous path. Bryshere aspired to be a rapper, so Will supposedly put her in touch with Diddy. Given what we now know about Diddy and Will, there are significant issues. Even though Will thought he was assisting him by connecting him with someone who genuinely had influence in the music industry. In hindsight, Bryshere should have left, but nobody knew the full extent of Diddy's operations at the time, and Bryshere honestly believed he was in good hands. He thought this was his big break with Diddy's and Will Smith's aid. It may have been the beginning of his downfall, even if it appeared to be a fast path to fame. For comparison, it has been reported that Diddy and Will Smith had been secretive for almost 2 decades. Several industry insiders have come up over the years to hint at some behind-the-scenes hanky-pink involving other males in the field, so it is nothing new. At this moment, though, things start to go south. Not all of the more concerning accusations entail secret alliances. There have been serious allegations that Diddy and Will may have overreached themselves with men who disagreed with what was going on. Jaguar Wright claims that Will had affairs with a number of younger men in the business. He takes the position of mentor, but then turns it into a love drama that leaves these people totally crushed, she said, citing Bryshere as one of his victims.
And young men have left their house screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills, Bryshere Gray, left that house screaming. August the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed a dog.
It really made you reevaluate the mentorship situation as a whole, including the kind of guidance Will was actually giving Bryshere and how, despite the fact that Bryshere's music career never really took off, he supposedly brought him to Diddy for some musical assistance. We were talking about 2 of the biggest names in industry, Diddy and Will Smith. If they had truly been supporting him as they said, Bryshere ought to have appeared on albums, tours, and other occasions. Rather, he faded into the background, leaving behind just hazy stories and speculations. You did not be co-signed by 2 heavyweights of the industry and then disappear. Therefore, something had not added up behind the scenes, unless there was a lot more to the story than anyone was told. In addition, Diddy has been under federal investigation for reportedly having sex with younger males without their permission. According to reports, during a debriefing session with federal investigators, James Roseman, the music manager turned kingpin, was reportedly questioned about the preference of entertainers, including whether Sean Diddy Combs was having intimate relationships with underage boys, according to a U.S. District Court filing. But it was not until Cassie filed that startling lawsuit that Diddy finally came out as the villain he had been hiding all along. She would sometimes just witness these crazy freak-offs, but other times she would feel forced to join in because Diddy allegedly had a liking for male escorts. She did not hold back, so she spilled the beans. Because of Cassie's bravery, more alleged victims have come forward as a result of her lawsuit, and more people have since come forward to talk about the abuse they believe Diddy inflicted on them. One of the most detailed reports was provided by producer Lil Rod, who said that Diddy not only essayed him but also encouraged his his employees to do the same. Lil Rod's account of it actually sounds a lot like what people say Diddy and Will did to Bryshere. The designs are not pleasant since they are too close together. Speaking of Bryshere, things really took a turn for the worse with the fall of the empire. While many people just blamed his bad choices, others believed that his actions were a response to the trauma he had endured in the profession. Bryshere released a few fairly successful songs after the performance, and he even had plans to go on tour. But all of a sudden, he felt as if the industry had abandoned him. His songs ceased to be played, he began to lose movie roles, and no one wanted to work with him. At the time, there were rumors that he had been quietly blacklisted for offending certain powerful individuals by declining to play the game. And it seems that such rumors were not completely unjustified, now that everything is becoming clear. The encounter clearly caused him a great deal of trauma, which is in line with Jaguar Wright's comments regarding Will Smith. Remember when she claimed that Will allegedly forces young men into emotionally harmful circumstances while posing as a mentor to them? And Bryshere certainly seemed as if she had known it. He was obviously shaken, and shortly after that, he started to spiral. Everything came to a head in July 2020 when a dire situation emerged. A woman named Candace reportedly went into the street and urgently reached out to a stranger for help. She told them she was a victim of domestic abuse and that her husband had physically assaulted her. The Good Samaritan took her straight to the police station, where she revealed that her spouse was Bryshere Gray.
Thanks for joining us. Up first tonight, we're following breaking news in the arrest of Bryshere Gray, one of the stars of the hit show Empire. Tonight, we're seeing hours of new video from his July arrest that ended with his wife flagging down police and telling them the actor had assaulted her for hours inside their Goodyear home.
She told the authorities that she had been touched by Bryshere and even choked till she passed out. She claimed that he became angry and their argument intensified when she confronted him about his adultery.
The alleged crime, brutal. Gray's wife calling 911 after escaping him at a Goodyear QT, claiming Gray punched her hundreds of times, strangled her, and threatened her with a...
That incident had serious repercussions. Bryshere was charged with disorderly conduct, aggravated felony, and misdemeanor. When his mugshot went viral online, people could not help but notice how different he looked from the polished star they knew. The conversation quickly devolved into speculation about possible, with several pointing out how worn out he appeared. After confessing to the DV charge, he was given a 3-year probationary period and 10 days in the county jail. Following it, Bryshere worked hard to start over in his career. He appeared to be a new actor at the tryouts, hungry, humble, and even prepared to take a large pay reduction to get back on the set. But there was a true blackball in the sector. Hollywood would not let him come back no matter how hard he tried, due to the length of his blacklist. Bryshere's circumstances eventually worsened to the point where he was broke and homeless. Since he was not receiving any jobs and had no practical means of support, he had to locate another source of income. Consequently, he turned to OnlyFans. When pictures and videos started to appear online, fans were first completely shocked. Most people thought it had to be artificial intelligence because Hakeem Lyon could not be out here doing that. But Bryshere confirmed it by posting even more details on Twitter, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was now an OF star. Furthermore, the PG portrayal of Bryshere that we were used to in the past is definitely not reflected in his Twitter bio. In response, Diddy is being held responsible by fans. This is so heartbreaking for Bryshere. I can only imagine how all this impacted his life. I hope he and other victims are able to heal and gain justice through all this. And I hate that the industry is like this. People can't practice their craft without the expectation of possibly being a buy and or date. All victims need to speak up, and the predators need to be exposed and pay the consequences so they don't continue hurting people. Even though this is a horrible situation, please let me know what you think. Is Bryshere a credible person, in your opinion, or is he merely exploiting Diddy's event to increase his profile and power?